Hey everyone, welcome and let's meet Emma. This is Emma. Emma is a very enthusiastic young professional and she wants to apply at an internship at Google. But as we all know, she's not the only one, and therefore it is very relevant that her resume is a very good resume. You can see the job description over here. And we're now going to give some tips to Emma about her resume and how to improve it. These tips are relevant, of course, for Emma, but also for you. So what we can see on top of her resume are her contact details, her name and address. And this is actually very standard. There's nothing special about it. The only thing she can improve is having a professional email address because this email address is not very professional. A student university email, for example, would be much better.
Exactly.
Yes. And also, do you see a profile picture over here?
No, we don't see a profile picture.
And is that a good or a bad thing?
Depends.
A picture can help in some cases, but in other cases it can hurt your chances. In the US and UK, for instance, many large employers are bias-conscious employers. They instruct their HR departments to not even consider resumes that have pictures, because this might subconsciously influence the recruiters to choose or reject people with certain backgrounds, like ethnicity. However, this is based on culture and also partly on region. In continental Europe, for instance, it is mostly not a big issue to include your picture. But is it a good addition? Yes and no. It can help you if you have a likability factor. And if it is a job where appearance is an implicit major component of your job, it could help. For instance, salespeople need to have a certain look that conveys competence and confidence and reliability. But in other professions, your skills are way more important than your appearance. And as such, your picture can only distract from what truly matters, namely your skills. Also, you see that there's no LinkedIn profile or another professional website included.
Should they include that?
If you have it, if you have a good LinkedIn profile or a portfolio website or another professional website, you can, of course, put it here on top of your resume.
Okay, so summary.
Yes, summary.
What is the summary? The summary is 3-4 sentences in which you get the possibility to convince the recruiter, hey, I'm your ideal candidate. Take me, read my resume because there's good stuff there. So you have to use that space, that prime real estate, important part, wisely.
Yes, I agree.
Now, if you look here, she mentions, I'm a balanced person. I think outside the box. These are not characteristics or traits that Google is mentioning in their job vacancy. They're looking for a communications-oriented person. So, it's a waste of space to mention characteristics or traits or skills that are not mentioned explicitly over there.
But, Maziar, that actually means that you need to customize your CV every time you're applying to a job.
Exactly. You have to customize it. You cannot use the same old thing and then recycle it over and over again. It has to be customized to the job vacancy. So here, I'm not reading anything about communication or communication skills in this very important part. It's a missed opportunity. Then there's a second major problem, and that's this part over here. I would love to gain international experience. What is this?
Like it is a wish list to Google instead of what you can offer to Google.
Exactly. It's all about what you have to offer, not what you would love. So leave all of this stuff out of it completely.
I agree. Yes. So, and what we see over here is the professional experience part.
And in the professional experience part, what I like is that she mentions the organization name, in this case, a horse. She mentions with a slightly different style, so italic and not bold. She mentions the name of the job, and then also she mentions date and the place. That's good, and she uses different formats for that, so they stand out. Good. What I don't like is that she mentions years but not months. That's a problem.
Why?
Well, it's a problem because, for instance, here you see that she works from 2021 until 2022. But, Is that from January 2021 until December 2022, so 2 years? Or is that from December 2021 until January
Yes, I
2022, which
understand.
is 2 months? Recruiters have seen these little cute, manipulation tricks all too often. So they are very sensitive to the fact that months are not mentioned.
Otherwise, you can cheat. So be clear. Yes.
So they don't like these little cute tricks. So try to avoid that as much as possible. There's another issue here, and that is that if you look at what she did at Horse, she stopped at 2022. But what she's doing at Hotel X Amsterdam, she's still doing that. And the convention is to put on top the most recent activity. So Hotel X Amsterdam should actually be on top.
Yeah. And then what about the bullet points? I'm a board member. I have gained a very wide experience.
Well, I mean, can you be even more vague than this? There's nothing concrete there. Wide experience, variety of people, variety of tasks. There's nothing at all, in terms of concrete skills mentioned.
So the recruiter doesn't even know what she did. Does the recruiter know what Horse is?
No, that is also a problem. Look, if you work for Amazon or Sony or Google or a well-known company, you don't have to explain the organization or the company. But if it's an absolutely unknown organization, maybe spend 2-3 words, explain what this organization does, so they get an idea of that.
Yeah.
There's a second issue, and that is that if you look at what she writes, gained wide experience during this period, worked with a variety of people, it's in no way tied to the job vacancy, which is all about communication.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
But if we look at the second experience, the Hotel X Amsterdam, we see that it is already tied to the job and the skills they're asking for, because I see marketing, communication. And if we look at the second bullet point, we see she implemented a new posting policy, driven up number of interactions, more than 300%. It is very concrete what her task is, what the metric was, and of course, what the result was, with a specific timestamp. Yeah. And also, if we look at it, we see that it is very actively written with action words, implemented.
What other action verbs can they use? Can you give us some other examples of action verbs?
Yeah, of course. Well, optimized, improved, reduced,
increased.
Exactly. Those words and this active writing style, that is what recruiters would like to see. Because then they know you are their person.
Yeah. Here's a very important side note. In most large organizations, resumes are first scanned by the ATS, which is a software comparable to a digital helper robot that helps recruiters separate valuable resumes from not so valuable ones. Now, the ATS can be programmed in various ways. You never know for sure how it is programmed. But what we have learned from recruiters is that they very often are programmed in the following way. Suppose that a vacancy, such as the Google vacancy that we already saw, has the word communication in it a lot. Then this word, communication, is a keyword. It is important for Google. The HR team will instruct this ATS to look for that keyword in resumes. Every time the ATS encounters this keyword, communication, in a resume, it gives extra points to that candidate. The more points, the more likely it is that your resume will be passed on to human recruiters. Now there is more. We know from recruiters that the ATS will give different weights to these words depending on the time frame. For instance, suppose that you were the communication officer from January 2000 to January 2001. Another candidate writes that she was also a communication officer, but from January 2000 until January 2023, so for a longer time period. The second candidate will score more points. If these keywords have a time period attached to them, for instance in the professional experience section of your resume, the one that has the longest duration will get more weight. But don't overuse the relevant keyword. Don't put the word communication in your resume a million times. That will score you points with the ATS, but once your resume is passed on to a human recruiter, trust us, you lose all those points. Now let's go to the education section. Here again, she clearly structures it: name of the institute, name of the program, and date. Just like the previous case, please mention also the month. Okay. She mentions that she was class representative. She mentioned that she wrote a paper with one of her professors, which is great, but there's a missed opportunity here. Look, Google is not just looking for a random human being, they are actually looking for a specific candidate that has a passion for communication. They're looking for a communications person. So try to reflect that. Emma should reflect that in this part, and she doesn't. If she, for instance, wrote this paper and the topic is, for instance, communication, then she should mention it over here, because then she can score points with the ATS. She mentions that she has a grade point average or GPA of 8.1. In Holland, we have a system of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, but the rest of the world has a different system, or might have a different system. For instance, Germany has a different system. If you apply internationally, realize that the receiver might not know the convention in your country, so specify it. Say, I have an 8.1 on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the highest. The same principle also applies here. Here she mentions that she attended the Vossius Gymnasium. This is a famous high school in Amsterdam, and the gymnasium is actually the highest level of high school in Holland. Holland has different levels of high school. And, the thing is that if somebody in San Francisco reads this, an American reads this, and they read gymnasium, they think it's some kind of a workout school, a place you go to learn how to box and, develop muscles, etc., etc. But it's not. It's a high school, and it's a very high level of high school. Again, clarify regional names very clearly. And again, I find it a missed opportunity that she doesn't tie this section in any way to what Google is looking for. So maybe if she did something with languages, then mention the keyword communications. Like I focused on communications because languages are communication. That will help you score points with the ATS. So the skills, last part, we can see that she has skills in terms of MS Office, SPSS, etc. And for me, it's clear. I can see that her SPSS skills are very, very high. She's an expert there. MS Office, she's intermediate, etc., etc. But there's a problem. And the problem is called ATS.
Yes, and Explain. It is a very, very big problem. Because the ATS system, the applicant tracking system, is a computer program. And this computer program helps recruiters. And the computer system can't read graphics and tables like this. And especially it cannot read colors. So it is actually a waste of time and a waste of space, because the computer cannot even see this. No. It sees only skills and then an empty part.
So how should this be rewritten?
She has to use words like MS Office, intermediate, SPSS, expert, German, intermediate, things like that. That is much better and understandable for recruiters and for the ATS systems.